Okay, let's jump right into this gripping case study. We're looking at a scenario where a flawlessly planned government event collides head-on with a tragic, hidden accident. Drawn directly from our source material on the Swachhata Pakhwada campaign, this explainer is going to test the absolute limits of administrative ethics. It's literally a masterclass in crisis management. I mean, it forces us to ask a really tough question. What do you do when protecting an institution means completely sacrificing your own integrity? So, to really unpack this scenario, we are going to follow 6 clear steps. We'll start with the incident and context, then look at the key stakeholders involved, lay out the core ethical dilemmas, evaluate the options, apply some philosophical theories, and finally, look at the final decision and reforms.
All right, part 1, the incident and context.
Picture this. It's August 5th, 2026. The Press Information Bureau just confirmed that the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship is kicking off the massive Swachhata Pakhwada, which is a real-world cleanliness and awareness campaign. Now, this genuine news context is super important because it frames our fictional scenario against a very real backdrop of intense public and media scrutiny. Everything we're about to dive into happens right in the shadow of this massive, highly publicized government initiative. And guys, the clock is absolutely ticking here. Let's look at the timeline. In the morning, under the guise of this cleanliness drive, trainees at an industrial training institute are told to clean out some old electrical panels. The regular instructor? On leave. So junior staff hastily assign this highly dangerous work with zero proper safety training or supervision, and the result is heartbreaking. A 19-year-old trainee, Suraj, gets a severe electric shock. He's rushed to the hospital and placed under strict 24-hour observation. But wait, here's the real kicker. The State Minister for Skill Development is scheduled to arrive at this exact institute in exactly 6 hours for a huge media event. To make matters even more tense, Suraj isn't just a name on a roster. He's the childhood best friend of the principal's nephew. The principal, Dinesh Kumar, is our decision-maker in this explainer. He actually personally helped get Suraj admitted. Suraj's dad once looked Principal Dinesh in the eye and said, "Sir, with you here, I don't worry about my son." Wow, that completely anchors this administrative nightmare to a deep personal promise, right? It turns a bureaucratic crisis into a profound human tragedy. Let's move on to step 2, key stakeholders involved. Every single person here pulls Principal Dinesh in a totally different moral and professional direction. At the center, you have Dinesh himself carrying the weight of both the institution and his personal word. Then there's Suraj, the victim of this systemic neglect, and his father, who represents this totally broken trust. But on the flip side, the institutional side, you've got the deputy director, who is actively pushing Dinesh to just cover the whole thing up. And looming over all of them, the minister and the media, who are completely oblivious to the tragedy and just expecting a flawless, happy event. This brings us to step 3, core ethical dilemmas. So right off the bat, we see this classic clash. It's the duty to be honest versus the crushing pressure to protect a public image at all costs. On one hand, transparency absolutely demands revealing the ugly truth about the negligence that left a teenager fighting for his life. But on the other hand, institutional image management demands hiding the incident. Why? To protect the Swachhata Pakhwada scheme's reputation and dodge a catastrophic media fallout, just as the minister rolls up. And on top of that, Dinesh is wrestling with a massive conflict of interest. He has a professional duty as an administrator to handle a workplace accident by the book, which, let's be honest, often means prioritizing the institution's survival. But that coldly clashes with his personal promise to Suraj's father. This emotional bond makes the choice infinitely harder. It really boils down to moral courage versus career self-preservation. Okay, step 4, evaluating the options. Let's see what he can actually do. Dinesh is facing incredible pressure from his own bosses. His deputy director gives him this, frankly, chilling directive. He says, "Don't inform the minister now, let the event go on, otherwise the scheme's image will be ruined and your posting will be affected." Yikes! This pragmatic but deeply unethical advice adds so much weight to that ticking clock. It gives Dinesh a very tempting way out. Just stay quiet, save your career, and, deal with the paperwork later. Based on our source text, Dinesh essentially has 3 paths. Option 1 is the cover-up. Do what the deputy director says, save the event, but completely shatter your ethical duty and that promise to the family. Option 2 is the nuclear route. Go straight to the media. I mean, sure, it's transparent, but without preparation, it creates absolute chaos and might not actually help Suraj get better care. Then there's option 3, Formally inform the minister's office before they even arrive. Make Suraj's medical care the absolute top priority and document the facts honestly without just running to the press first. Put yourself in his shoes for a second. You've got hours to go. The event is set up. The media is outside. Your boss is telling you to keep your mouth shut. What do? Do you save your career and the institution's flawless image, or do you save your soul and honor your word to a terrified father? To figure that out, let's look at step 5, applying philosophical theories. How would history's greatest thinkers tell Dinesh to handle this? Well, first, Immanuel Kant teaches us that the truth is an absolute imperative. Hiding the accident, even if you kind of think you're doing it for the greater good of the event, is deception, period. It's a double betrayal, both institutional and personal. Next up, John Rawls and his veil of ignorance. Imagine if Dinesh had to make this decision without knowing who he was in this scenario. If he didn't know if he was the principal trying to save his job or Suraj's father waiting in the hospital, what would he choose? He'd demand absolute transparency, for sure. Finally, Aristotle's golden mean guides us away from the extremes. We don't want a total cover-up, but we also don't want chaotic public shouting. We need structured, fact-based reporting. Which leads us directly into step 6, final decision and reforms. The conclusion from our source material is totally unequivocal. A true administrator has to prioritize transparency and personal integrity during a crisis, no matter what it costs their career. Dinesh has to choose option 3. He must immediately inform the minister's office, go straight to the hospital to stand by Suraj's family just like he promised, carefully document the systemic failure, and flatly reject his boss's unethical advice to cover it up. But, just surviving the crisis with your morals intact, that isn't enough. Dinesh needs to advocate for systemic institutional reforms to fix the root cause of this whole mess. The source highlights 4 critical changes we need to see. First, implement mandatory incident reporting protocols, so hiding an accident becomes legally impossible. Second, establish whistleblower protections, so junior staff aren't terrified to speak up against unsafe orders. Third, enforce a strict ban on assigning hazardous tasks without proper safety training. And finally, mandate independent safety audits before any large-scale events like the Swachhata Pakhwada. Ultimately, all of this anchors back to a core legal and moral truth. Article 21, the right to life, proves that ensuring the safety of a 19-year-old trainee is a fundamental constitutional obligation. It totally supersedes any PR campaign, any VIP visit, and any threat from a boss. Workplace safety and transparent reporting are not just optional administrative choices you can brush off. They are binding constitutional duties. This explainer really leaves us with a profound realization. True leadership is only tested in the crucible of a crisis. So I'll leave you with this. When the cameras are rolling, your boss is demanding silence, and a life literally hangs in the balance. Will you have the courage to choose absolute transparency? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep questioning, keep learning,